Hello, this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and today we're looking at another submission by Liz of her horse Ellie. Now, Liz had also sent me another video along with this of the horse a little time before this, and what I would just say is this horse is going so much better. So you were concerned that you hadn't made any progress. Well, actually, you've made a lot of progress. In the previous video that you sent, the one that you sent along with this clip, the horse actually looked quite irregular and almost lame. I think as more of a bridle lameness, just being held in a bad position. The horse was just very high-headed. And even the photographs that you sent, where she's rearing with you and these kind of things, obviously this horse has calmed down a great deal. And once again, all of those kind of problems always have their origins in the same thing. People conflicting the aids and trying to cram the horse into a frame instead of trying to let the horse develop into a frame. So what you're getting here today is actually very good. The walk is much more rhythmic and active. The pole is a lot lower. And she's actually stretching quite well here, which we didn't see at all in that previous video that you sent. That is the one that you sent along with this that we don't have here up for people to see. But the comparison is just night and day between the two. So this is really, really good work. You're getting her to stretch out. Already you're getting the walk much more rhythmic and active. And of course, most importantly, she actually looks sound. So that's what we're looking for. Good leg yield there, I believe you're doing there. That's quite nice. Good rhythm in it, leading with the shoulder. So that's all good. We'd like her head and neck to lower a little bit more even than what it is, but this is acceptable where you are here. She could still take it a little bit lower as she learns to develop a little more. But where you are here is at least good enough, as opposed to, as I said, the other video that you showed me where her pole was so high in those pictures. I mean, you could just see how uncomfortable this horse would be. Once again, we've also always got to remember that we've got to train the horse that we have. We can't make every horse look exactly the same. Once again, all horses that at least can flex their hocks can develop collection to some degree. That is, the straighter the hocks are, the more difficult that is for a horse. But also, that would mean that the more important it is for you to do this work. We breed horses today that have really good minds and bodies, and people kind of get by with kind of half training them for a while till they fall apart. But this is really good you've done here. That was a nice shoulder in, pretty good rhythm. Once again, I'd like to see her stretched a little more in all of this, but this is good enough that you're headed in the right direction here with this. And here she's starting to stretch even deeper, and that's really nice. And look how nice that walk starts to swing. Once again, watch what happens as the horse stretches down, and we can see how different the horse's movement is. The lower the horse stretches, the more it can bring its back end through and up. So that's kind of the point. When the horse develops enough, it will be able to maintain a higher position of the pole and maintain that lowering of the three joints of the hind legs, which is what real collection is. Remember, collection is not shortening the horse's stride, as so many people think. Collection is getting the horse to flex the three joints of the hind legs, but that can only happen after the horse has gone through that change that happens in about 2 years of training, where the horse actually literally pulls the withers up through the shoulders from the stretch. And the back becomes much stronger, and then the horse is able to lower the hindquarters in real collection. But once again, just shortening and shortening the stride, getting the horse to lift his knees, that has nothing to do with collection. It has to something the horse has to develop into. It's not a trick. So once again, that walk was quite good. I would have liked to have seen her a little lower when you started that stretch, but it was not bad. And I like how you didn't try to hold her in any kind of particular frame. You just went forward into the trot, which is just what you should do, and then try to adjust it. And once again, remember, we don't try to worry about the consistency in the transitions until the horse is consistent in the gaits themselves. Then you'll see that the transition problems will just disappear. Just like the straightness problems. Remember that horses are crooked by nature, and it's only when we get them to lift their back that they can begin to bend from side to side. So we don't worry too much about crookedness or bend until we get the horse to lift its back. And then we see that those problems miraculously disappear all by themselves. So this is a pretty good trot, and once again, if you go back and compare this trot to the other clip that you sent me, it's night and day. I mean, the horse literally looked off in that, and it was just a bridle lameness. So once again, remember, you see this horse is a mare. Her neck comes pretty straight out of the body. She's never going to have a real high head and neck set. She's not built that way. So that's one of the biggest problems that everybody encounters is, everybody wants to make their horses look like some of these million-dollar horses today that have these huge sloping shoulders and necks that come up straight up out of the shoulders upwards like a saddlebred, or some of the Friesians and things like that are built more that way. So every horse can collect to the degree that it can flex its hocks, But not every horse is going to have the same high head and neck position, so just bear that in mind. We don't ride the neck. It has very little importance in all this. It's just that people have come to think that high pole is what indicates a horse being collected, but it really is not at all. It has very little to do with it. So really good. That's a nice little lengthening across there. I'd like to see her stretch a little more and all of that, but really that's very good. And just the difference in the soundness of this horse, you know, in this tape compared to that other one that you showed me, which is why I didn't put that on here. This is just immensely improved, and you should be very proud of yourself. Good work here. And once again, it's perfectly fine to go ahead and ride with the Chambon on. It helps them a great deal. If you go to France, you'll find a lot of people doing that, as this is a French device. And mostly what we teach is basically French classical dressage, is where all this, you know, most of what we do came from. Excuse me. Pretty good walk here. Once again, you didn't try to hold her too much in the transition. Now, that one was a little hollower than the last one, as she was already resisting there. So I would like to see you get her stretched a little deeper and then start your trot, so she's not so high-headed when you start, and you'll find that those difficulties in the transitions will just disappear. But once again, she looks very even here. Now that's starting to get a better stretch there, getting long enough. That's starting to look much better, and she's flowing through. Look how she's starting to develop a little lift in her gaits already, which compared to what we saw in that previous video, this is much, much better. Good leg yield here. Just leading slightly with the shoulder. That's very nice. Remember to try to keep that outside leg back as well as you can from the hip whenever we have the horse bent. But the great thing about the Chambon too is it's kind of, and I like how you opened the horse right there. That was just what you want to do. You got her swinging more active forward. The Chambon is very good because it's kind of like having training wheels, so to speak. You know, the horse can't get too far out of whack before it's going to encounter the Chambon. So as long as you're just riding on a loose rein and not trying to pull the horse's head down, you get along just fine. Now, if you were trying to put this on and then hold the horse's head down or something, you would find yourself getting into difficulties with the Chambon. But just the way you're using it is just the way it should be. It's just kind of there as sort of training wheels. It's going to, you know, come into play only when the horse comes too hollow. Not a bad canter in transition, and this canter is not too bad. It's a little flat and doesn't really get underneath herself and lift enough, but it's not a terribly disconnected canter, so it's good enough that you can canter for short periods of time like that. And she came back to a little more active trot afterwards. So this has all been really good, and just want to say what a huge improvement this is over the last one that I saw. You just want to get your stretches a little bit deeper, but that's really coming well, and the horse looked sound and really good in this tape. So good job, and your position looks quite good as well. Nothing to really complain about. Such your outside leg could have been back just a little more in that trot work, but that'll come in time, as will the straightness. This is Will Faerber from Archer Ride. Great job.